welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann. This is the award-winning Fan Show. Thank you all for joining me. Everyone's a fan of something, and we've got something for every fan, especially if you are a fan of the Alliance of American Football or the Indoor Football League. You can join this first portion of the program on our Facebook Live. Hello, Facebook land, and hello, Adam, you little liar. You said you weren't going to be here, and you show up in the chat first thing. But please feel free to join in. That is facebook.com/fanshowofficial. We've got a great episode for you today. They're all great. Everyone is just as great as the one before, and the one before is just as great as the next. We like to keep a certain level of consistency here in Fan Nation. In Fan Nation, we will welcome not one but two first-timers. Fantastic way to spend a Wednesday. Ezekiel Edmonds, a Clark Atlanta product who attended CGS. We did not have the opportunity to chat while I was down there for the College Gridiron Showcase, but we got a chance to catch up today. Felt it was a great conversation. It is Combine season right now, and so we're going to talk a little bit about if he followed the Combine, his pro day, how he's preparing for it. There's a couple of guys that I've had on that have had their pro days, and I'm waiting to hear back from them to see if maybe they want to talk about it. But anyway, I let them focus and get ready and however they can. So he will join me. It's a great conversation, as I mentioned. And then I could give you 10 reasons to tune in tonight. And no, I'm not talking about Ty Dillinger. Because really, I only need one reason for you to listen to tonight's episode. That's right, number one. In case you missed it, we dropped the Fan Show Top 10 of Week 2 last night. And there was another place that tried to drop like a Top 5 or something. But no, I'm sorry. It's imitated but never duplicated. That's my thing. And so one of the people who found themselves on the Top 10 will join us as well. If you're a fan of the Quad City Steamwheelers, spoiler alert, they're here. I'm sorry I started the show a few minutes late, but Power Rankings have really got me in a spot today, especially the IFL ones, because of the simple fact that I went against my own rule of thumb, and my rule of thumb is that I won't make a Power Rankings until every team has played. And I could not help myself. I had to go and make Power Rankings last week, knowing full well that Tucson and Iowa had not seen action out on the field. And so now that puts me in a predicament. Because if you do that, there is every possibility, and a very good chance, that there will be leaps and bounds made from Week 1 to Week 2. Because now you have a sample size for everyone, for all parties included. You have double the sample size for some teams if you do as you do the others. So it's madness, it's chaos. I did get the AAF Power Rankings figured out. That one was pretty easy because in a world where all the teams that had losing records won, except for one, and all the teams that had winning records lost, except for one, made it pretty simple. There's not a lot of movement, I will tell you that right now, but we'll get to that during the headlines, and so we might as well, let's check in with the chat, see if we've got anything going on. Let's see here. I'm on here for a little bit, got to head out for the Kiss concert. I'm getting ditched for the Kiss concert. Oh well, it's okay. I love you still, Adam. You're good. So please feel free to join me on the Facebook Live Fan Show page for Facebook, facebook.com/fanshowofficial. And here we are with today's headlines. And the headlines are that we are gearing up for week number 5 in the AAF. We will have a full round of predictions tomorrow night's episode like we do with every Thursday. Friday morning, I fly out early. I mean, we're talking 6 a.m. I catch a flight to go to Des Moines, Iowa for their raising of the banner as they have their home opener against the Green Bay Blizzard. We will talk in depth about that matchup, as well as the rest of the Week 3 IFL matchups, which will not feature the Quad City Steamers, which I'm sad. Like, what is my top 10 going to consist of if Quad City is not playing? It's going to be tough. It's going to be like all Arizona. Maybe. Who knows? So we got a couple of good matchups coming up this weekend, which we're going to save for tomorrow. But for today, it is Power Rankings Day, so let's go ahead. Let's hop to it. Power Rankings, and let's hit a drum roll here. Pause for dramatic effect. All right, number 8. No change, except they have one in the win column now. So the only change is to their record, which good for them. But I was looking at the scores. I was watching some of the highlights, some of the film. And although they won, it was the weakest winning performance of the week. So there is no change. At number 8 is the Atlanta Legends. Maybe it's a sign of things to come. Maybe there will be more wins for Atlanta that we see this season. All you need to do is just, get over that hump once and try to replicate what brought you success. So Atlanta Legends ring in at number 8 with a record of 1-3. With a record of 2-2. That's right. There's other teams out there with less wins, but this team has dropped 2 in a row. So in weekly power rankings, I mind you, this is how I see it for this week. In case you forgot. Arizona Hotshots, 2-2. They dropped 2 spots, and their outing was not good. In fact, they lost to the Atlanta Legends. So it's one of those cases where you look. I have a criteria, I'm sure you do as well, when it comes to how you do power rankings. And mine is strength of performance, strength of opponent. You can get down to the finer details like the turnovers, mistakes, self-inflicted wounds, things like that. But record, strength of victory, strength of opponent, and then how you've done recently and how you may do in weeks to come. So for that, we have the Arizona Hotshots, who lost for the second week in a row. They're on a 2-game skid to what I had ranked as the worst team in the AAF, the Atlanta Legends, and it was a score of 14-11. There is nothing about that performance from Arizona that says they deserve to be anywhere with the rest of the teams that are 500 or with winning records. So for right now, Arizona drops 2 after they've dropped 2 to number 8. Hey, Daryl Lee Owens is in here. He's checking in. What's going on, my man? Good to see you. Number 6, up 1 from last week. So a little bit of movement. They got their first victory, and this was the most impressive victory of all the teams that had not won a game this season. In fact, it was the most impressive victory from week number 4. Memphis Express, congratulations, guys. You are 1-3. You are up 1. You are climbing the ranks, and we knew you could do it. You have the right tools. You have the players. You have the personnel. Now it's time to execute. Execute the Express way. So Memphis Express at number 6. Now, number 5 dropped 1. And this was not easy. The middle of the pack is where it was the hardest to rank these. Because like I said, when you have a week where the best teams lose and the worst teams win, depending on their record and where they were in the power rankings the previous week, there might not be a whole lot of movement, if any. I've had weeks like that where not a single team moved because there just wasn't enough to justify movement. Yeah, we had a huge upset. But does that mean that team that was the worst that beat the best is now the best for that week? No, it doesn't. At least in the fan show criteria of power rankings, that is not what that equates to. So number 5 is the Salt Lake Stallions. They're 1-3. They dropped 1 from the previous week. They dropped another one. They won the week before. They ended the losing streak. But this time they played the opponent that I feel is the best in the league, hands down, without a doubt. And we'll get to them in a minute. They scored 11 points. There's a lot of 11s. Now that I look back at it, Salt Lake Stallions, 11 points in a loss. Birmingham Iron, 11 points in a loss. Arizona Hotshots, 11 points in, you guessed it, a loss. So that brings us to number 4, the San Antonio Commanders. They move up 2 spots. They have now balanced their record back out at 500, 2-2. Their win was a 1-point win over who I believe is the second toughest opponent in the entire AAF. So their movement, I feel, worthy of where they are. They've climbed their way back into the top 4, the first time they found themselves there, I think, since week 1, the week 1 power rankings. Number 3 is the San Diego Fleet. No movement. 2-2. They have lost again, but this is a team that loses, wins, loses. I don't know what to make of that. This is a team that's very difficult to figure out. They will have to go back to their original starting quarterback this week because their other starter is injured. We'll see how that affects the team. Number 2, the Birmingham Iron, 3-1. Yes, they lost. They lost by 1 point to a team that is very 50-50. Obviously, their record shows. And then, of course, I feel like they've just been one of the most consistent teams in the entire league, short of your number 1, the Orlando Apollos. 4-0! And then there was 1. That's right. I slapped down my notebook. 4-0. They're the only team undefeated, and they are convincing. 20 points they scored over the 11 for the Stallions, and it was in the snow. The Orlando team won on the road in the snow. You cannot tell me that this is not the best team in the AAF. I won't believe it. I do not accept that. Been watching a lot of Sons of Anarchy. Some of you will catch that reference. I accept that. So those are your Week 4 going into Week 5 AAF Power Rankings. We'll have a full preview of those games tomorrow. So to recap real quick, number 8, the Legends, 7, Hot Shot, 6, Express, 5, Stallions, 4, Commanders, 3, Fleet, 2, Iron, and 1, the Apollos of Orlando. So congratulations, guys. Now for the IFL Power Rankings. And this is tough. This is hard to do. In fact, I'm going to have to look over my thing. I don't even think that what I have is technically complete. I got to put the glasses on for this. Those of you watching at home on the Facebook Live, bear with me here while I do some quick calculations. And yeah, as you can see if you're watching, this is my script from the top 10, which is not a script, just talking points. Made a Facebook post. People ask, how long does it take you to script your voiceover for your top 10 videos? It doesn't, because I don't. I do not believe in scripting. I mean, I will if I have to, and I have had to for some college courses during this sportscasting bachelor's degree that I'm pursuing. But if I can help it, I do not script. It feels very, very just non-organic, unauthentic, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't feel real. There we go. That's a good term for it. Does not feel real. Okay, I know. Pop culture news. Side note, we lost Luke Perry. I heard he had a stroke. I did not know he passed away. Luke Perry dies of complications of a stroke at the age of 52. Very sad. If you're a 90s kid, that probably hits you hard. Now, I didn't watch 90210, but I knew plenty of people that did, and he was, when you went over to the girlfriend's place, in her room, chances are there was a Luke Perry poster on her wall. And that's how you knew that relationship needed to end. In other news, wrestling, King Kong Bundy, he passed away. Adam mentioned that in the chat yesterday, and I forgot to say something, but I try to keep it light here, but this is, we've lost a few already in 2019. Now, granted, it's already the 6th day of March. February is a short month, though, so we're still very much in the infancy of 2019. And it's something that you have to think about, how do you want, if you haven't started out the year the best way so far, how do you want to finish it? Because now is the best time. Month 3, this is when you kick it into gear. Let March Madness be your personal madness. That's my statement to you. And don't forget, because I did, that Headlines brought to you by Dynamite Enterprises, where you can have anything customized from t-shirts, hoodies, hats, coasters, colored pencils, probably even. Flask, I imagine, like the Blizzard did. It's one of my favorite souvenirs ever. Trophies, banners, probably billboards, but you name it, they can do it. You need to visit dynamiteenterprises.com or reach out to Ethan at dynamiteenterprises.com. Get a quote today. So last week we had, because of my rule for power rankings, and this is why I try to avoid doing power rankings when not all the teams have played. But if I do, I usually have a reason for where teams that don't play are. So last week, number 10 was the Sugar Skulls, because they're a franchise team, or they're an expansion team that has never played before. And so we have 0 on them. We know nothing about this team. Sure, we know the coaching staff, the GM, and the player personnel, but that doesn't, I mean, the Memphis Express just won their first game this last week, and they have head coach Mike Singletary, and they've got a buttload of talent on that roster. But that doesn't mean anything until you see them play. So the Sugar Skulls were number 10, and that's not a reflection of how they performed, because they didn't. They had yet to play. So number 10 was the Sugar Skulls, and number 1 was the Barnstormers. The reigning champions, I feel, have earned the right to stay the champions until further notice, unless there is a performance, which there wasn't. But then that next week, if there's a performance that you feel is just like unquestionably a number 1 performance, then you have something to think about. So Iowa was number 1, and they hadn't played, but they're the champs, so they should stay at number 1 until further notice. And number 10 was the Sugar Skulls because they hadn't played, and we know nothing about the Sugar Skulls. We do now. We know now. And so that brings us to the F.A.N Show official IFL weekly power rankings. Let's see if I can get these finished here. Oh, my goodness. Where am I putting these? Okay, so yeah, those have got to change as well. All right, so we've got... Oh, man, this is tough. This is tough. I don't like when there's just big performances by teams. Nope, can't do it. I cannot do it. I thought I was going to be able to do it, and I can't. I'm still going to tell you what the top 10 are, but I can't do what I was thinking about doing just because, again, I think strength of performance... And I'm like, wow, that was a hell of a performance. But then I look at the next one. That's why you have a criteria. Strength of opponent. And I'm like, okay, maybe not so much. But we do have one big mover. I think some of you may know who it is. And let's see here. Okay. And one more. Okay, so that brings them up 3. Okay, and that makes them down 2. That brings them to even. And that makes them down. And that brings them, geez, that's a big leap, isn't it? That's 4. Okay, so here we go. Your F.A.N Show official Week 2 power rankings for the Indoor Football League. Number 10 is the Bismarck Bucks. It's only a 1-spot drop. We only have one game as a sample size, but their performance, I felt... We have 2 games as far as the sample size for the Nebraska Danger, and I felt both performances were very good from the Nebraska Danger. However, one was a losing effort and the other was a winning effort. And we'll talk about that losing effort here in a second. But Bismarck drops down 1. They were 9 last week. They're 10 this week. They're 0-1. We've got one game. I just felt that the performance doesn't really... It wasn't better than anybody else's performance that we've seen, really. And that's because of also their strength of opponent. Now, if you don't have a whole lot of history, you can go back to last season in Nebraska. I feel they're better than they were last year, but I don't know if they're that much better than they were last year, right? Jury's still out. So number 9 is the River Kings. That's probably one of our biggest movers down because they are down 3 spots from last week. Now, they played a tough opponent in the Sioux Falls Storm. And then they played another tough opponent in the Arizona Rattlers. But Sioux Falls, it should not have been that close of a game for Sioux Falls. And it obviously was not a very close game in Arizona. So again, strength of performance, strength of opponent. They had 2 tough opponents, but their performance has gotten worse. They drop 1. Number 8, no change. The Strike Force. And this, I say that like it's a good thing, but no, I mean, they're 0-2 and it could be worse, but they have really hung in there against their 2 opponents that they've had, Quad City, who's a competitor, and Tucson, who we find out is a competitor, which brings us to number 7, the Tucson Sugar Skulls, up 3. One of our biggest movers of the week. They are up 3, so they are no longer last. We have a sample size. It's a good one. They played competitive, bell to bell, their first game ever, and they got a victory. I feel like that merits not last, right? That's worthy, not necessarily of top 5, but 7 nonetheless. Number 6 down 2 is the Nebraska Danger. Now, this one was really tough because they beat the Bismarck Bucks, who are last. Okay, so not a very good strength of opponent. Strength of victory, though, was there. They ran all over them. They played who I felt was an opponent, though, this week that was not getting enough credit in the Green Bay Blizzard. And so that was a 1-point loss, tale of 2 kicking games. One kicker was perfect, the other was not. Plain and simple. Their quarterback in Green Bay scored the winning touchdown, and Nebraska threw a pick to seal the game. I mean, those are the little differences that you look at beyond the strength of performance and the strength of opponent criteria. So number 6, Nebraska Danger, down 2, record 1-1. Then we have the Quad City Steamwheelers at number 5. No change. Because it's something that I felt was tough. They played a team that we knew nothing about week 1, and that was the San Diego Strike Force. But now, as we see in week 2, they're competitors. They are 4 quarters of competitive football despite 0-2. And then they play the defending champs, which is no easy feat. So I think number 5, and that is no change from last week. A little bit of change, and I know it's not fair because they didn't play, but if you consider their performance from the week before, it was generous to have them where they were last week. That is the Sioux Falls Storm, down 1 from last week's number 3. They are number 4 with a record of 1-0. And it's modest, but we'll see how they do this week. Number 3, your biggest mover of the week is the Green Bay Blizzard. Up for hell of a performance this week. I knew they had it in them. And they are going to look to replicate that on the road for the first time this season. That's right. Back-to-back home games. Now they take it on the road to the Champs House. The Well in Des Moines, Iowa this weekend. Going to be a battle. And I am so honored that I get to be there to witness it. We'll see what happens. But yes, up 4 spots. They were previously number 7. A lot of people had them lower than that. And I was like, you're crazy. And so they are your number 3 team for week 2, a record of 1-1. Number 2 is Arizona. And I know you guys are thinking, oh, but that performance. I mean, yes, I consider Green Bay a tougher opponent. So strength of opponent is there. Their strength of performance in that game was there. And their strength of performance against Cedar Rapids, well, obviously. But Cedar Rapids, man, I don't know what to make of it. Until further notice, that's not strength of opponent in my opinion. And then that leaves us number 1, Iowa. The champs won against a competitive rival, a rivalry renewed. And I think that you can't knock them, especially after winning. And again, this is my own grave that I dig when I do these power rankings and I haven't seen all the teams perform. But Iowa stays at the top as the champs. But once they have 2 games under their belt, all bets are off. I mean, Arizona, this was tough to not put Arizona number 1. They're clearly one of the strongest teams in the league. I just don't know if they are the strongest team in the league. So let's go ahead and run it down one more time. 10, Bismarck, the Bucks. Number 9, the River Kings. 8, the Strike Force. 7, the Sugar Skulls. 6, the Danger. 5, the Steamwheelers. 4, the Storm. 3, the Blizzard. 2, the Rattlers. And 1, your Iowa Barnstormers. And we are going to go ahead and kick it over now to Spreaker.com. If you see the link there, click that, and we will see you guys on Facebook Live again tomorrow night. Adam, we missed you, and Antonio as well, but thank those of you that did tune in, and you can jump in on the chat at Spreaker as well. So here it is, my conversation with Ezekiel Edmonds and then Quinton Pedroza of the Quad City Steamwheelers. Enjoy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me is another one from our follow-up to the College Gridiron Showcase. He is safety Ezekiel Edmonds. How you doing, man?
How you doing, man? Everything good on this end, just getting ready for Pro Day.
Yeah, a lot of you guys, I actually messaged Cole Herdman last night to see if he was available to be on this week as well. I know this is a big week for you guys. He's like, oh, man, I got my Pro Day. So I wished him luck, and you luck as well, because this is, if it's not the Combine, it's your Pro Day. Real quick, what school you hail from?
Clark Atlanta University.
Gotcha. How do you feel your college career went?
It was a journey, but I feel like I enjoyed every minute of it, the grind, getting to this point. as long as I ended up in this situation, I'm happy. I'm thankful for all the opportunities I got during my college career and all the hardship I dealt with. It
Yeah.
made me to the player and the man I am today.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing from any opportunity that you get is the experience. And, for a lot of you guys, you all have high praise for the experience that you got, not only during your college career, but of course at the College Gridiron Showcase, which, that was the first week of January. That's how your year started off. Now you're coming up on your pro day. How was your experience at CGS, and how has it helped you prepare for the big day?
It was actually a great experience. Actually, I came in a part of the small college group, so getting there, competing with those guys, and then being able to get accepted, get an invite into the bigger showcase, which is the 4-day one that I was a part of, was a great experience. Then it let me know, it showed me where my skill set was amongst other players across the nation at my position and against other receivers with me playing DB. Being able to compete with those guys in 1-on-1s, 7-on-7, seeing what my position skills eyed up with other dudes, it was a good experience.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to have such a great experience there. And one question that I ask all the guys coming back or for the first time, like you and I didn't have really a chance to talk down in Fort Worth, but I did hear a lot of high praise about you, obviously, if you got the invite to come to the other portion of it. But what has kept you grounded and focused? Because what I mean is there's so much going on right now for you, and this is kind of a unique time, isn't it? It'll never happen again, and it's never happened before. So you can't really say, well, I did this last year, so I could do this year, or well, next time I'll do that. That's it's not the case. And so a lot of you guys, you can't get lazy. And I know for me, Tuesday rolls around. Well, I could probably not do laundry today. It can wait till tomorrow. But for you guys, how do you stay on track? What motivates you to make sure you don't skip anything on any day?
Really and truly, my grandma, she works the night shift. So I grew up watching her work the night shifts every night, seeing her go to work every night. I mean, she get up at 10 o'clock and she be out the door by 10:30 to go work the night shift. So just seeing that and seeing how hard she worked, it made me into the hard work I am today, honestly. So I just can't have any excuses because I know she doesn't make any. So why should I make any? Why should I make any excuses or even take any days off? Because she an elder and she still get up every night to work the night shift. So me just working hard, doing the game, playing the game I love is easy.
Is she your biggest fan and biggest supporter, or are you her biggest fan and biggest supporter?
I would have to say my grandma. She doesn't really know much about the sport, but she's a great supporter. She's that's my road dog. Like me and her have been down since I was born. She's been one of my best friends, somebody I can always come to. But I would say I'm probably her biggest fan, whether she knows that or not, because I look up to my grandma wholeheartedly. Like that's my lady right there.
Wow, that's awesome, man. I love how you're like, I don't know if she really understands the game, but she understands, what I do. And I think that can relate for a lot of people.
She actually got a chance to come to my first college game, my senior night. So
oh, wow.
That was a good thing. Yeah, she saw me play in person senior night. So that was a great thing, great experience.
That's awesome, man. Well, so you got your pro day coming up, and I'm sure you've been keeping up with the combine, or do you? Because for some of you guys that don't get an invite, I don't know if that's extra motivation or if it's just something that you'd rather put in the back of your mind. But I guess 2-part question: how have you been preparing for your pro day, and have you been keeping up with the combine?
You said how I've been preparing for my pro day?
Yeah.
Oh, I work out with Elite Speed. I'm down here in South Florida, so we work out 2 times a day, 4 days out the week. Thursday he gives us a break, so we pretty much go in the morning and in the afternoon. We hit the weights in the afternoon, field in the morning. Sometimes get a pool workout in on Tuesdays, depending on the week. But I've been moving forward ever since. Actually, I started my preparation probably about 3 weeks, but prior to um, showcase down in Texas. So I've been going with this about 3 months hard right now,
Oh, that's awesome,
and
man.
moving forward with the combine. I watched a little bit of the farm combine. I watched some of the highlights. Really got to see like the top scorers, like the people who did the best in the events, the 40, the bench, the vertical, the broad jump, the shuttle. I just really watched those events at the pro day while watching some of the individual drills, but I didn't really get a chance to watch the whole entire combine. But I watched some of it, keeping in mind like the top guys, what they did, what they didn't do, what some listening to the commentators, hearing like their input on those guys.
So there's a team on the clock that has a need at safety. Are you the
Mhm.
next best available?
Yes.
And what would Mel Kiper say about you?
I would say hard worker, um, outgoing player who loves the game, leader, somebody who is very passionate about the game. I mean, it's not just a game of sport that people play. I really don't even like getting into all the antics that come with football. I like just playing the game, watching the film, the stuff that's done behind the scenes. So, very humble player. If that would sum me up.
That's awesome, and I believe it, man. Because a lot of you guys I've talked to, it's something about CGS. Just the
Mhm.
starting your year off the right way, making sure that, of course, you have your best foot forward. What was the biggest takeaway for you from CGS? Is there anything that stood out that maybe you hadn't thought of before, or that hadn't really sunk in with you up until that moment?
I would say competing and preparation, being there, knowing that cause I'm a competitor, but knowing when you're able to, the key to success is your preparation and then being able to compete at the highest level. So that was a key thing. Seeing that, being at that showcase with dudes from all across the country, and getting a chance to compete with D1 schools, D1 AA players, so getting a chance to compete with those guys really let me know where I stood in the eyes of myself as well as amongst other players. So I always knew I was a confident player, but just getting a chance to put it all together and get a chance to compete with those guys really helped out my confidence and my game as well.
Now, other than your grandmother, obviously, who we've talked about, who would you say is maybe not your biggest supporter, but just your support system? Is it a coach, parents, friend,
Um,
colleague, anybody like that?
that's a hard one right there, man. I would say it took a village. So I have a lot of players, a lot of people in my corner that's supportive. Really my whole family, really. Everybody just want to see me do great things. Knowing my background, knowing where I come from, a lot of people don't make it out. So just everybody that I even came encounter with throughout my whole football journey, my whole life in general, really just want to see me do good because coming from West Palm Beach, Florida, there's not really too many people that I know that get the opportunity to do the things I done did in life. So they lived through me. So there's a lot of people that's been supportive with me, with my journey.
So, do you have a big plan for the draft? Like, you're gonna gather the village around and the TV and sit down and hope that your name gets called?
Um, yeah, I found just like being around family, honestly, on that day, seeing where it all falls. I don't really got too many plans yet for it, but right now I'm just leaving it all in the hands of the universe and just hoping for the best.
Yeah, man. I think you guys are definitely in a good spot. And I mean that because, like I said, it's never happened before. It'll never happen again. This is when it comes to the path to the draft, there is only one path. You can't retake it. Um,
Hmm.
if you got called back to Clark Atlanta, to your high school, to your middle school, whatever, what would you tell young athletes as far as advice based on what you've gone through up to this moment?
Um, I would definitely say enjoy the moment, enjoy the time you have with your teammates, enjoy the time you have with your family. Don't take anything for granted because it can end just like that. Um, Everything is very much valued. You need to value everything, every opportunity you have, every person you come encounter with, every connection. You need to value everything, because you never know when this game could be over for you. You never know when it could be your last snap, when it could be your last time being in that weight room with your teammates. You never know. So I was telling them, while they had opportunity, continue to strive to be great and continue to do what you love doing, which y'all playing football, should be playing football and love playing football. So I would tell them, continue doing that and continue having a good spirit about everything and enjoy the ride. Just enjoy it, because there's going to be some ups and downs, but you just got to keep the faith and just keep a positive attitude with everything.
Enjoy the ride. And I feel like that is one of those things where you see the meme on Facebook. There was one time where you and all your friends would get together for the last time and not even realize it. And it's very true for the sport of football, for sports in general. You never know when the last time is the last time until it is, in fact, your last time. So he is Ezekiel Edmonds of Clark Atlanta University, a safety who is the next best available for that need on the draft board. Thank you so much for taking the time, man. I really appreciate getting to talk to you.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you having me.
All right. Well, hey, best of luck, man. I'm sure we'll talk again soon. But seriously, I want nothing but the best for you guys. I hope you all get drafted. And if you don't, I hope you find your way to a team no matter what. So best wishes to you, and stay sharp, stay focused, man, and go get it.
Appreciate all that.
All right. You take care.
All right. You too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me now is the proud owner of the Fan Show official Top 10 Plays of the Week, Week 2 number 1 play, Quad City's own Quinton Pedroza. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Another week in the IFL in the books, and it did not disappoint. And, of course, this 10-league team that has welcomed you guys in Bismarck with open arms and has added Tucson in San Diego. I mean, how can you not be excited about the level of competition that we're seeing out there, especially from right there in Quad City?
I mean, man, it's just a blessing every day. I get to wake up and do what I love. You know, playing football is just something for me to get away and get out my aggression. Not that I have much, so to speak, but I mean, it's just an honor. You know what I mean? I think we can compete with any team in this league, and I'm excited to see and show that once these upcoming weeks come upon us, and I think the rest of the following will be able to witness that as well. And it's just an exciting feeling, man. Nothing more to explain that.
Yeah, everybody else has gotten a little bit of a break. Well, I mean, a few teams have not yet, but you guys will get your first bye week, which, there's a couple in the IFL, and I'm not too big of a fan of that, but, you guys get your breaks where you need them. Started out strong. You guys kicked off the whole season, not just week 1, but the season opened in Quad City. And I got to say, I've been a lot of different places in this league. I've been Nebraska, Iowa, Green Bay, Arizona, and Sioux Falls and Spokane when we had a team. And I love taking in the environment and the experience from a fan's perspective, and you guys are fitting right in. I mean, your crowd is just so intense. Every player I've talked to that has played there that's not a Quad City member has said that it is something to behold.
Yeah, man. I mean, this city and these cities, the surrounding cities, they love us, man. It's really an honor to be able to play for the Quad Cities. I mean, it's something that you can't really express. I always tell players and friends and family that it's just like playing in college. If you can picture, I played at the University of Utah, and they have no professional NFL team. So, I mean, the level of love, the level of excitement from the fans, it's just brewing, because it was when I was in college, it was us and the Utah Jazz in Salt Lake City. And I mean, we're treated like superstars, and it's a great feeling. So for us to just be able to get that kind of support, and for them to come out and do that week in and week out, win or lose. It's just amazing to be able to be a part of that. So the least we can do is be out in the community, go to the elementary schools, host the events, host the signings, host the meet and greets at the hotels or the casinos. That's the least we can do. And I'm sure the two teams that we have hosted in the first two opening weeks, they've seen that and they've seen the love just being around. I had the coach come up to me for the Barnstormers and he said, "Hey, I see your cutout in the tax layer. I seen it across from the River House where they had their pregame meal," and it's just amazing to be able to hear those words and just know that all the hard work is actually on display. It's not just within where people that don't really get to see the hard work. It's also displayed for people to see it on the out. It's not. It just didn't happen overnight where all the things coming together, and the fans are very big part of it.
Yeah, I think you guys have a phenomenal fan base, and if I get the chance to come to Quad City, I'm really excited about that opportunity if it comes to be, because the crowd is great. Your team is very athletic. You guys are competitors. Obviously, you won against the Strike Force to open up your season, and then you guys, had to pretty much enjoy that one for just a week because the reigning champs were coming to town, and that was a very competitive game in my eyes. I mean, that Pearson kick return for the touchdown, you hear it in the call on the YouTube stream. It was like you guys needed to stop there, and then that happens, and you guys were doing everything you could pretty much offensively. Like, what was, as a player, the roller coaster of emotions like for you to just play 4 quarters with the Iowa Barnstormers?
I was actually a part of that team in 2017. Great group of guys, great coaches. They're technically sound, they're disciplined. So being able to play them, I knew it wasn't going to be an easy roller coaster ride. I knew we had to play smart, we had to execute, and we had to get things done and get them done fast. And as everybody that was watching, we weren't playing very smart. We had those, 3 or 4 personal foul calls, offsides, false starts, and you can't beat any team like that, let alone a championship caliber team. So that we shot ourselves in the foot there. I do believe we do align with their talent very closely. I do believe if we were playing smarter, the game would have been a little different. Also, that last play or that last kickoff return you're talking about, there was a little biases in my point of view because I was on that kickoff team, and I felt like I got blocked in the back on that. But refs are humans too. Stuff like that is missed all the time. So it's not like something you can harp on. We just got to get better, and that's just plain and simple. We got to get better and play smarter. That's just bottom line.
Yeah, and there's a lot of football left to be played. We're so early, and people are already pretty much declaring who the champion is. And some people, in their mind, it's not even Iowa. It's Arizona, which, they have left little doubt about how good they are. And that's Arizona for you, though. Kevin Guy surrounds himself with the best people possible, but they didn't get a chance to defend their title last year. In fact, Sioux Falls kind of spoiled that. And they've kind of had to go back and be like, yeah, you forgot you're the new kids on this block. What's it like being new to a league as a player? Because, you played with Iowa before, but then you were in the CIF last year, and there was talks about us getting you last year. But now it's official. Now you're here. So what's it like being in the different environments?
It's always great to be. There's actually the pros and the cons of being the new kid to the block, and being that first pros. It's like nobody really knows what you can do besides the eye in the sky, and that's the film. And then now you have that aspect. Well, you got the people that believe the CIF has a lot less talent than you have the people. So you have all these things up in the air on what talent is, and they have in each of these leagues. So for me, I like my motto is put my head down and ball. I don't like looking up. I know a lot of people say keep your head up, and my motto is keep your head down and ball. And what I mean by that is I don't like to look at all the media stuff. I don't like to look at all that. I like to just play. Line me up against whoever and let's play. So being the new kid on the block, for me, that's what it means. I can't wait I love competition. I love competing in anything I do, and being able to get this opportunity to play in this league with high caliber of talent, guys that were in the NFL or CFL or whatever the case may be, that's just what I love. I feed off that. I feed off competition. I feed off wanting to be as best as I can be, and that's just plain and simple on my end.
Yeah, and it seems like you guys, I've talked to your coach last week or the week before, and great guy. Seems like he is what you would call a player's coach, which there's a lot of those in this league. And I'm not sure if you would call Kevin Guy that. I mean, Kevin Guy is, he's Coach Kevin Guy. He's one of the best to do it at this level. But players coaches, a player's coach, as they call him, are guys that seem a bit more personable, a little bit more down to earth. Now, I don't know Coach Guy on a personal level, but I feel every time I've talked to Coach Dixie Wooten, Coach Corey Roberson in Green Bay, and then your coach, Corey Ross, it seems like you can level with him a little bit. Is that something that you guys notice as a player? Is that important to you? Or like what would you label your coach, Ross, as up there in Quad City?
Absolutely. And just as you said it, Coach Corey Ross, he's very personable. He's very tied into his players. He actually cares. You get coaches that you can kind of tell that they are just about the game only. And Coach Ross always stresses, football is only X amount of time of your life, and the rest is your life. So having a coach like that, to understand as a player that a coach actually cares for your well-being, not just for using you for the time you're there. He cares about jobs that guys have. He cares about just the little things that you don't quite often get in coaches. And I've had a few of coaches like that in college. So it's like having that type of coach, you feel, from a player standpoint, you can kind of trust him even more. You know how coaches constantly stress, well, just trust it, trust the process, trust the schemes, trust the concepts. When you can trust him beyond that, there's a different type of connection you get with the coach. And I believe that Coach Ross is that type of coach. And you can ask the players that played for him, not even in the Quad Cities, for Omaha or for the other teams that he's coached at. And I'm sure they'd say the same, because it's really a good thing to be able to play for someone like that.
Yeah, I think you guys have great coach up there. He's definitely a competitor, no quit, but he's having fun, most of all. That's something that I'm learning to love about these Steam Wheelers, is that you guys are having fun. And that's, one of the three things about this level of football is making sure that you're getting your film, you're having fun, and you're fighting till the end. There's a championship that you can win at the end of the year, so might as well. But you guys, you've been in the top 10 2 weeks in a row now. Number one plays. You and Rudd are phenomenal athletes, and your dance moves are second to none right now. But walk me through this number one play of the week for the fan show anyway. You go up, you get this ball, and I don't know if it's you jump and think, if I get this, I'm going over the wall, or if you touch the ball and you're like, uh-oh. Like, do you even recall what your mental state was as you go up for this amazing touchdown grab?
Well, I did something similar like that last year when we were in Kansas City, the CIF. And my thought process, when the ball's in the air, see ball, get ball. That's my thought process. I know there's a guy on me. I know he's worked just as hard as I have. So it's pretty much just free for all. It's one-on-one. It's me going up. It's him going up. Who's going to come down with it? And like I said, I'm a competitor, so I'm going to do all I can to get that catch, to secure the catch, and to do something good for my team. So when that ball was in the air, I didn't care if I was going on the wall. I didn't care at all. We were down 14 at that point. So I went up and I caught the ball. And as soon as I caught the ball, I felt my hamstring hit the wall. And I was like, yeah, I'm going over. So as soon as I felt that, I just cradled the ball and I took the fall, jumped right back over, and I proceeded to celebrate because I knew that I made that catch and I beat that defender, and it was a score to help us get closer to potentially win the game. And that was pretty much my thought process.
I mean, the only way that you can top a catch like that in your career is if it's either you win the game and that play is in there, or that is the game-winning play. I mean, it's really that those are the only ways that you can ever top a play like that. And I've seen guys go over the wall. Hell, I've seen guys go through the wall. But I've seen guys go over the wall, but never have I seen someone go over where I'm watching this and I'm cheering, but at the same time, that cheer turns into a cringe because I'm like, the only way he's coming down is flat on his head. And that's when you get that mini moment of panic, right?
Right, and that's exactly what happened.
Oh,
and it's
wow.
funny you say that because we have a group message with our receivers, and the guy said it's because that was identical to the touch last year against Kansas City when we played them in the CIF, except it was to win the game. There was 4 seconds left on the clock.
Oh, wow.
So it was identical. It was identical to what happened this past Sunday, except this was in the third quarter, and that one was 4 seconds in the fourth quarter, and we were down by 3.
Wow.
So that's what was kind of funny about that. I even had our kicker, he texted me and he said, it looks exactly like it. Exactly like the catch. And the way that my legs flipped over the wall, it's very similar. It's pretty funny, actually.
Well, that's awesome, man. So you have a relatively high bar set for yourself, and I have loved watching you guys. It's only been 2 weeks, but I can see so much potential for this team, the talent, and everything, and I'm so excited to have you guys in the league. Like I said, last year I heard nothing but great things. It seemed like it was a teaser to have you guys do your preseason scrimmage with Iowa, and I was like, please let this happen because all the guys that know the league longer than I have were just like, they're a great organization, they're going to compete, and they're going to have a lot of fun. So, hey, man, congratulations on grabbing the number 1 spot this week for the Fan Show Top 10. I was watching them, and like I've said all week, it's easy to pick a top 3. It's 4 through 10 that are hard. But then of that 3, you got to say, okay, well, which one stands over the other 2? And yours just, it really had everything. It had excitement. The call was great. And it looked amazing. So props to you, man. It's been a pleasure to watch you play so far. So much more to come, and to get to talk to you here on the show.
I appreciate that so much, and we appreciate you across the league. And I can't wait to see more of the fan shows and see more of the top 5 players. And hopefully, I can get that honor to be in the top 5 again.
Yeah, man, I'm sure there's plenty left in the tank for you in that regard. So you guys in Quad City, no stranger to the top 10. Hell, no stranger to the top 5. But thank you so much for taking the time. He is the reigning number 1 play of the week for your Fan Show official top 10 plays from week 2 with that epic grab. Quad City's own, the Steam Wheeler, Quinton Pedroza. You take care of yourself, my man. Good luck.
You too. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, and one more big thank you to Ezekiel Edmonds from the College Gridiron Showcase and Quinton Pedroza of the Quad City Steam Wheelers. Great conversations with those two guys. Hope it's the first of many more to come, and we've got a lot more to come tomorrow as we will do our preview of the upcoming weekend action in the AAF and the IFL. We should be joined by a very special individual, so stay tuned for that official announcement. And then make sure that you are following along with me either on Twitter at FanShowOfficial, Instagram, The Fan Show, or Facebook, facebook.com/FanShowOfficial. I will try to upload some more stuff on the Snapchat, which is The Fan Show as well. But this weekend, stop number 1 on the Fan Show Tour 2019. Where else but the place of the reigning, defending, undisputed United Bowl champion Iowa Barnstormers as they host the Green Bay Blizzard. Raise the banner, crack open the drinks. Let's get ready to celebrate and have a good one. Saturday, March 9th. So until tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, remember, ladies and gentlemen, that it's not official unless it's fan show official. Go Niners, and it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.